I've always been passionate about technology, building things. It took me quite a while to realize how important energy is, how much the world is governed by access to energy. The productivity of our society is mainly defined by our access to energy. The second part of this is labor and how we turn energy into labor. In hindsight, this is completely obvious. As a society, we are the ability to harvest energy, which we're pretty good at. If you ask someone from the 1800s, in 2024, you can buy a kilowatt hour of energy for 10 cents. They would think you were out of your mind. That's going to take 1,000,000 years. The last thing that was written about the Wright brothers 3 days before they started flying was that it would take the combined force of all mathematicians in humanity 1,000,000 years to solve this problem. That was what academia thought. 2 days later, the plane takes off. Point being, it's very hard for someone back in that society to imagine that energy is just almost abundantly available and free. We can still get better at this, but I think as a society, we've gotten pretty darn good at harvesting energy. What hasn't happened yet is that we've figured out how to turn that into products and services. That's still mainly done by people eating corn and then converting that into mechanical energy and making products and services. Once you can take that energy and just turn it into any product and service that we then can consume, that's the next step of society. Looking back from this a few years from now, if you grew up in that society, it will be unfathomable to you that there was a world before you had access to labor. How did that world work? We think it's very weird to think about oh, we didn't have light, we didn't have heat, we didn't have all these things, which comes from energy. It's always easy to look back, right? And it's hard to look forward. But it is going to change the world, I think. Equally impactful to some of the big things, you can say agriculture, printing press, car, computers. It's a huge shift, and it will redefine humanity and how we live, hopefully in a very, very positive manner, where we can all have everything we want and still be a civilization that is sustainable. And I think that's something that also often doesn't get mentioned enough, how much sustainability is a function of productivity. Because if you have infinite labor, there is no reason to cut cost, no reason to cut corners. You can do everything in a sustainable manner. And I think the path to a sustainable planet does not come through saving. It comes through actually enabling you to do all of these things in a sustainable manner.